Hey guys, we're live. Again, I'm by myself tonight, so please bear with me, and I will trust you guys to come in here and ask a lot of questions. Jared's got the first question up there. We're going to talk about our new OC, and I just want to first of all say, please subscribe, smash that subscribe button, and after you do that, please the podcast and then then throw in a comment and I will answer it when I'll see your comments later and I will comment back and then share it with your Hawkeye friends. Okay. So let's get started. This is about Tim Lester being introduced yesterday, and I wanted to talk a little bit about his about some of the words that he said at his own press conference and some of the things that maybe Kirk had said about it too. Um, but let's just say right off the bat, what are our expectations for the new OC? Um, I think honestly, my expectation is that he's going to do fine. He needs to do fine. We've got to get the offense going. He thinks he can do. He can have some explosive plays off the run, and he's not even considering passing. He said until the play is um okay. I'll post that here in a minute, Calvin. Um, but anyhow, so he wants to run first, then pass. What I really like about him is that he said that he wants to put his quarterbacks, his wide receivers in the best possible position. He wants to play to their strengths, and that he is not set on one way of doing things. That he can adjust. He can adjust to his players. He can adjust to the defense, and that's what I like. I don't feel we had a lot of adjustments this year from Brian. I mean, not to put Brian down, but overall, Brian's a good guy. He just didn't make the adjustments according to the team we were playing, and that's what always bothered me. Is I always said a good coach, a great coach, will make adjustments to his players, find his players' strengths. What are they good at? And then develop the plays around that, and that's what's got me excited, is that he's willing to do, like, I think he was talking about at Western Michigan, one year he had a quarterback that could do the RPOs and did it quite well, and then the next year he had another quarterback that basically was a drop back pro style quarterback, and that's what he did well, and he would drop back, look at his progressions, and find the right receiver. But he did quite well at that because that quarterback liked doing that, and he was good at it. And so that's what makes me feel a whole lot better because sometimes I feel like we're we're recruiting people, and we're recruiting some decent people, guys. It's not like we're not recruiting good people, and that we're getting in a position though where we're forcing them to be something they're not. Oh, okay. An example of that would I can't remember the two quarterbacks, but I think they had the same last name and basically played back to back at Nebraska. Those guys were good with their feet, maybe a little bit of dual threat with them in there, but Scott Frost made them pass the ball. Okay. He didn't play to their strengths. God forbid if he had played to their strengths, he might still have a job today. Um, and then there was back when Greg Davis first took over, he tried to make Vandenberg into something that he couldn't do as a quarterback, which is why his numbers drastically changed from his first year under Ken O'Keefe to his second year under Greg Davis. Greg Davis came up and Greg Davis could not, he was trying to force these things. You can't force these guys to do stuff they're not capable of doing. Okay. So, right. I guess you guys probably all heard yesterday that LeVar Woods was confirmed to interviewed for the Buccaneer job. Calvin's on here saying that he didn't get the job, so good, we're all good. He's going to stay home and run our special teams another year. Um, so that's all good to hear. Um, so anyway, let's just say about Kirk was said that he hired Tim Lester because he's a good fit for Iowa. He met all the coaches and all the other coaches, and the coaches all liked him, and he got a well. He has to fit into the Iowa culture. He can't be anything different. But Kirk did say that he had talked to, or he had a list of 10 to 12 people, talk to six, actually talked to six, and then narrowed it down to four. Um, and he did say that he will fill the spot of wide receiver, although he didn't use that term. He just said we have one spot to fill, hopefully within the next 2 weeks. Um, okay. Everybody says that it's Budmeyer. Everybody is coming out there and say it's going to be Budmeyer. But my question is will it be Budmeyer? Because if it was, why wouldn't they just announce him already? Okay, why wouldn't they just announce him? Well, unless of course they have to go through a waiting period to announce him. I don't know. So that gives me hope. That Budmeyer probably won't be the wide receivers coach. We'll find out within 2 weeks, but if he is because I know there's at least two media people out there, Tom Kakirk and Chad Lysico, who are reporting that he is likely the wide receivers coach. Let's hope that this guy understands the wide receivers, and he has to a little bit because I think he was a quarterback coach at one time, or did quarterbacks, right? Because he's the one that, after all, recommended Deacon Hill. Okay, and so he brings Deacon Hill in, and we know how that turned out. But as a quarterback, you kind of got to know a little bit about what your wide receivers are doing. So maybe he can help the wide receivers run more simplistic. I think they just need to run more simplistic routes. All honesty, I think they run these complicated routes, and more often than not, you'll find somebody wide open who wasn't seen by the quarterback. But also, too, you'll find out that they're throwing the ball to the spot where the wide receivers are supposed to be, but they haven't quite got to the route yet. Or if they did get there, they got there too quick or too late, and the ball was just, not thrown, nicely to him. I just don't know what else to say about that. About the wide receivers. It's partly to blame on the wide receivers, a whole lot to do with Deacon. But you know what? Before Cade got hurt, he wasn't doing any better. He was 40% passing, in the 40s. I'm not going to say actually 40, but maybe 48, somewhere in there before he got hurt. So Cade was really having to make some adjustments too. Okay. So anyway, Kirk did point out that Iowa won 10 games over 3 out of the last 5 seasons. So, he's still kind of saying that, he's open to stuff. He's open to the new things that Lesser has. He said that in the press conference. But at the same time, he's also saying, well, Tim has to figure out what we do here and do it better than it was being done. And so, I don't know how much freedom he's really going to get. Okay. All right. And he also talked about, that, that they can, Kirk said that they can only practice so many things and do it well. And so I don't think he wanted to have too much stuff going on with the receivers and the receivers, the quarterback, and everything to confuse them too much. I think he wants to keep it. I think he wants to keep it. I don't want to say simple because everybody knows that Iowa's offense was very complicated. Complicated for the quarterbacks, complicated for the wide receivers. Okay, but to keep it to a minimum of plays. Like maybe they run certain amount of plays out of one formation, and then another formation they run the other set of plays or something. Basically, it's like he didn't care in the news conference that I took away that he didn't care that other teams knew what he was going to do on offense. offense. They just have to execute better. And we all know that the execution wasn't there this year. So he's right about that. They do have to execute. And early in his career, Kirk had said at his news conference, he said, "We don't care if you know what we're going to do. Try to stop us." But in those first several years, they didn't stop him. But now they are because the coaches are getting smarter. They're watching film, and Iowa has been giving their line has been giving signals to what they're going to do, and the line doesn't even know they're doing it. And I think this is a habit that I believe Tim Lester's going to have to help break, and tell the old line coach, that he needs to the Barnett needs to, hey, no more giving away toes, turning which direction we're going, no more of this, no more of this. That we have to absolutely keep these people fooled what we're gonna do. Okay. But anyway, I like how he said is he likes to put the players in the best possible position to win games and make that person successful. I'm so excited about that. If he can actually do that and Kirk doesn't boo-foo everything he tries to do, you know. But I like how he said that he wants to be aggressive. Okay, he says the team needs to be physical, it needs to be disciplined, it needs to be aggressive, and in everything they do from the run game to the pass, the RPO to temple. It sounds like they might run a little temple, this year. But that's like he said. But he plays to the strength of his players, and he takes what the defense gives him. Remember what Hayden Fry used to say: "Scratch where it itches," meaning If if you're giving me the pass play, I'm gonna take it from you all day long. If you're giving me the run play, we're gonna run it down your throat. And that's what I liked about Hayden Fry. And the other thing I liked about Hayden Fry is when he put the hammer on, he didn't take it off until the game was over. Okay. Lester runs a mainly I came away from this news conference thinking that he ran mainly 11 personnel, but it seems like he runs more 12 personnel, which I think is 2 tight ends and a running back. Okay, so for everybody who's scared that we're gonna lose our tight end university, um, tight end U whatever we wanna call it, title, I don't think so. It sounds like he will be using the tight ends, and we got 2 good ones in not Laporta because he's in the NFL. Um, Lachey and, I forget the other one coming back. Somebody help me out. Okay, but another thing too is I got something about Kirk. I want to come back and see if you guys can help me answer. Okay. They asked Lester about the fact that only one wide receiver since 2016 had more than 600 yards of receiving, and I think that was in 2019. Because we didn't have any tight ends that year. Our tight ends were either injured or we just didn't have anybody up to snuff. Okay. At Western Michigan in the 2021 year, Lester and his offensive coordinator, I think it was Jake Moreland, called the plays together. Um, so yeah, thank you, Calvin, on Ostrenga, on that other tight end. Yeah. They called the plays together, and I think he was the following year he had to fire his. He either fired his OC or he just took over the play calling because he did mention that he and the OC were not on the same page. They weren't doing the things he wanted to do. So he took over the play calling last 4 or 5 games of the season. I think that was in 2022. That was also the year he got fired from Western Michigan. Okay. Yeah. Most of this, a lot of my notes, he repeated a lot of stuff. I read through the transcripts and really, reporters out there, media reporters, if you're watching this, stop asking the same question that somebody else did, but you reworded it because as I went to transcribe for this today, I kept seeing the same answers over and over again, which means you guys are asking the same questions over and over again. How about asking something original? Okay. Um, yeah. Yeah. And that's anyway, like he said, he's really working hard. He's a big tight end fan. He says it all starts with the QB, and we all know that. And we saw what happened last year when the QB didn't perform. Okay. We still got 10 wins, and we lost a game that we actually won, but that's another story for another day. And thus the shirts that say it wasn't a fair catch because it wasn't. Okay. He's not worried about Cade because they asked him about Cade being injured and Cade being able to pick up some of these concepts. He said if Cade had never played in a game before, he'd be worried, but Cade's got plenty of experience, and he should be able to pick up on some of this stuff. Some of this stuff he's ran at Michigan before. Um, he expects Cade will be at practice every day, whether he can throw or not. And so I would think last year at this time, Cade was out there throwing, but not much. Not much. He didn't, it wasn't until the summer camp that he started really getting more full time into it. Okay. Yeah, and also Tim Lester will be our quarterback coach too, which is not a surprise. I think everybody knew that was coming. He's going to sit down within the next few days and talk to everybody on offense, meet everybody, get to know them a little bit, and then watch film of all of them because he wants to know what they can do. They were also asking about the quarterback, and he says he values efficiency at quarterback. And he will be upstairs in the press box to watch the game. I think that's where Brian could had a better feel for the game because when you're at field level, you can't see all what's going on. I don't mean to be mean or anything, but I've watched the Iowa football game on the sideline. Trust me, that's not the best place to watch a game on the sideline. You know. Plus, I'm so short anyway that these guys were all bigger than me, so I couldn't see around these football players for nothing. Okay, and so yeah, let's see. But anyway, he just basically said he's got to get the horses to the race, which I assume did he mean the quarterbacks or something else? Anyway, I want to go back to something that Kirk said. Okay, um, it said, I want to know. Kirk was talking about a guy he worked with 35 years ago who was all about himself, the next job, all about the numbers. Didn't really care about teamwork or team orientation, and they had two really good quarterbacks. If I do the math, that puts him in at Iowa under Hayden Fry. I don't think Hayden Fry was about the next job. I think he was a Hawkeye through and through. And the two great quarterbacks that he had in his era were Chuck Hardlib and Chuck Long. I believe he was still here. Kirk was here for both those quarterbacks, I think. But who do you guys think he was referring to? Because when he said 35 years ago, that's the first thing I come up with. Okay, that's who I came up with. Okay, um, so and I don't know if Kirk came to us from Maine or if he came to us from the Baltimore Colts when they were the Colts. I think. I'm not sure. So I don't know because at first he said 26, 27 years ago, and um, okay. So you think he was talking about his OC at Maine? Okay. Did he come directly to us from Maine then, or did he go to the NFL first? He left here to go to Maine and then went to the NFL. Okay. So 35 years ago. That's still 35 years ago. Still puts him in the 80s with Hayden Fry. Yeah. Yeah, at the Ravens. Wasn't Belichick also the coach at that time of the Ravens? Yeah. That's because they weren't able to keep the Colts name. Um I don't think. I think Indianapolis. I'm confused. It's a long time ago. Wait a minute. I think Baltimore left. Baltimore Colts went to Indianapolis, kept the Colts name. Baltimore got a new team and called it the Ravens, but I don't know if they brought in a already franchise or brand new team? Marcha Broda. Okay. All right. Thank you, Calvin. I mean, having you here helps because you're correcting a lot of my mistakes and showing me. Okay. All right. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. I still think Caden. I mean, Kirk must be mixed up then because 35 years ago puts him in Iowa City with. I think maybe I'm wrong. I have to go back and do the math on that. Okay. So, all right. So, that's about all I really had on that, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about the men's basketball. I didn't put that on there. Tomorrow night, they play at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, my time, on BTN, followed by the women who also play Penn State, but they're at home against Penn State at 6 o'clock my time. Thing, and then there's a documentary on BTN, probably the Journey, that features. I saw a clip of it today. I'm really excited about it. That features um, both Peyton Stanford and Caitlin Clark. Okay. Kelvin says Ferentz and Ozzie Newsome were at Brown's team moved to Baltimore. Got it. There we go. There you go. Yeah, I have to go back and do my history. Imagine me coming on here without knowing anything. But anyhow, I'm kind of looking at the Iowa record and I posted this on my Facebook page and let me bring that up. But I was kind of looking at what I thought they could do. I feel Iowa can win their next 3 games and probably should. Um yeah, okay. They were retained. Okay. All right. Yeah, Jared, let's do talk a little bit of wrestling. I'll come back to the basketball here in a minute. I don't know if Iowa's going to win a match against Penn State, and this would be really, really silly. But a lot of the rankings, these guys are really close in rankings to each other. Um, but and then Woods dropped to number 2, so apparently the guy he's wrestling is ranked number 1 now. And so I'm guessing that that guy was number 2 last week, but number 1 this week because Woods slipped up. And so, yeah, Jared, what do you think? I don't think we're going to win a match, especially if we wrestle the way we did. And I noticed that Ben Keeter and Hill are both listed as heavyweight, so I don't know which one's going to get the nod. It probably depends on where we're at that time, but with 5 number 1 wrestlers on that team with Penn State, you know, that 5 they could win half the matches right there. They could win half the matches. Now, granted, Woods lose. It's not guaranteed that Woods would lose to this number 1 guy. Um, yeah, it's not because he's number 2, so they're pretty equal. And Woods can claim his number 1 spot back by taking this guy down and maybe pinning him. But everything is so close. But the Penn State wrestlers wrestle such a different style than Iowa. And you guys, if anybody watched the Michigan game, the Michigan meet, knows that they just wrestled really, really lethargic, listless. Um, I think the only guys that got wins were actually a little more aggressive. They have to be aggressive and attacking. That's the style of wrestling I've always loved. It's the type of wrestling that the Brands brothers. That's the type of wrestling that the Brands brothers did. Okay. And I don't know why they can't relate that consistently. The 2 previous meets that they had, every one of the wrestlers were racking up points, getting extra bonus points. And so if yeah, maybe if Drake is recovering from an injury or a sickness, maybe he shouldn't wrestle this week. And let's protect him. Okay? Because we're not going to win the match no matter what. Even I think Tom Brands even alluded to that. He said in his press conference that Penn State's on a level by themselves. and then there's a huge gap with everybody else behind them. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, alright, let's see how Drake does. I like Drake Ayala a lot, but he's not Spencer Lee, obviously, and I was kinda hoping more from him. I was kinda hoping that we get more out of him this year than we're getting out of him, but, um, eh, like, no takedowns the first 5 matches at Michigan. We might not get any takedowns first 5 matches against Penn State too. This match has a potential to be a blowout. I don't know if Iowa's ever been shut out. I can't remember a time that they would have been, but the great match people are looking for is Gabe Arnold. Is Gabe Arnold wasn't listed in the was he listed as wrestling tomorrow? Uh, I don't think he was listed. Um, Maybe he is. The preview is posted on my Facebook page, the group chat called Iowa Hawkeye Sports. If you guys want to check it out, but yeah, so I don't think it was. So um, let's go to the basketball real quick. I just want to clear that up real quick and just tell you guys what I think this team is going to do the rest of the year. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw, I put something, just kind of funny out there about the Big Ten changing its name, but I didn't get as many comments as I wanted. Most of the comments were the negative type, like, I deleted a lot of very negative comments toward me for even posting it. See. Oh, K Martin has been named the So You Want to Be a Coach program by the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. By the way, I don't know if anybody knows this yet, but I also posted my MVPs and my most improved players for both men and women. And surprise, surprise, I did not name Caitlin Clark as my MVP. I named Kate Martin as my MVP because she's the glue. She's a leader. She's a teacher. And thing. Yeah. 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 I put out there, and I'm trying to find it, but I put on that thing that I felt like they had a real good shot at NIT if things fell the way they like I thought they would. Okay, I'm trying to find that. Okay, okay. So the team is 5-6 right now. So I felt like they could win the next 3 games, and that would move their record. They would move their record to 16-9 and 8-6. They would have to beat PSU, Penn State, and Maryland on the road, and Minnesota at home. Minnesota has a better record than we do, and I was reading some of the Minnesota people today, and they feel that Iowa's a win for them. They feel Iowa's a win for them and they feel like they are currently a bubble team, but they were just talking about what wins they would need to get off the bubble. Okay, but I have Iowa losing 5 of their last 6 games. Okay, the 5 losses would be to Wisconsin at home, Michigan State at their place, Northwestern there, Illinois. We play twice, home and away. And I said the lone win would be Penn State. Iowa finished the regular season at 9-11 in the Big Ten, 17-14. I had predicted earlier in the season that they would be 14-17, but I've been seeing some improvement on and stuff for their going, and so you see, NIT now goes by net rankings, so a winning record is not needed. Yeah, I was gonna say that they changed the rules and a team with a non-winning record could get in. But what they're trying to do is eliminate some of the group of 5 teams in smaller schools because I think they're kind of feeling like they don't belong and they want more Power 5 teams. So they're going to try to get Power 5 teams that are more deserving. So Iowa wouldn't even have to have a winning record to get in the NIT as long as their net ranking was pretty decent. Could Iowa win the NIT? Wow. I don't know. Minnesota will probably be in the NIT. I'm just trying to think of the Big Ten teams that would be in there. Uh, at this point, I don't know. They came close. They got to a title game a few years ago. You guys remember that? I think in Fran's second year or third year, they got to the title game of the NIT. Okay. Calvin feels that some bottom team in the Big 12 will win it. By the way, have you guys see how well the Iowa State men are playing right now? Man, they can play some defense. If they can just get some offense going, they'd really be something. I said earlier after I saw them play for the first time, and I only seen them play against Iowa and just little bits and pieces of here and there of them, that I I thought if they could continue to play defense like that and make sure they scored some points against every team so they could beat them, I felt like that they could be a Final Four team, and I still believe that way. I still, with the right bracket, the right seeding, they could make a run in the tournament. Okay, I saw getting so. Let's get back to um my MVP so far this year um for the men's basketball team. Um, okay, it I screwed that up. Screwed that up. Um, my mind's drawing a blank, guys. I'm embarrassed. But my most improved player is Josh Dix. Um, and so I'm gonna try to go back and see if I can find my MVPs. I just posted that today too, so it should be right there, right at the top. Okay. Um. Okay. So Tony Perkins. Tony Perkins is my MVP. Yeah. I can count on Calvin. Calvin's my brain. I think he's thinking for me. He's doing a good job for me. When my brain starts to go. Also, my most improved women's player, I didn't mention it, as this was a hard one. To me, it was between Falter and um, Molly Davis. I chose Molly Davis because, but Falter is doing very well. I think they both are pretty well improved over last year. I heard somebody else say that they liked Hannah as their most improved, which um, I think to me, Hannah's doing about what she did last year. So next year, though, she should be fire. She should be doing great. Um, you know, she misses some layups, she misses some free throws, but the girl's got superstar written on her. In her junior and senior years, she should be fire. She should be doing well. In order for the women to make a run, because now they've got 6 or 7 games left, they almost need to go undefeated until the end of the season when they meet Ohio State. So, because Ohio State's looking more and more like the better team in the Big Ten. And so we want that game to be where both teams just have the one loss, unless, of course, Ohio State can slip up along the way. It's always possible, but so could Iowa because they've got games coming up against an improving Penn State team, an improving Nebraska team coming up. Both those teams won't be easy, and they have Michigan coming up too, I believe, and so that game, Michigan isn't what they were a couple of years ago. Um, so, but anyway, Iowa's capable of going through the next few games undefeated, so that when Ohio State and and Iowa get there, they both will have a 16-1 record playing for the Big Ten title. I want Iowa to take the title plus take the tournament title. Okay. Um, and so Ohio State, they're good. They got the big people, and they showed us last time. But we had them on the ropes the last time and could not hang on and win that game. This time we need to finish it, just like we did with Maryland the other night when We had them on the ropes and they came back. This time we didn't fold at the end like we did against Ohio State and the first Kansas State team, which they also had a lead and lost it late in the game and couldn't get going. So, but that's what I think. And then of course I don't want to talk about how deep Iowa could run or who they could play first. I saw somebody's mock bracket that has Iowa as a number one seed, and of course not North Carolina, South Carolina as a number one seed. And if everything went according to plan, they wouldn't meet until the championship game. That's one bracket, and then of course the other two brackets weren't published. All this guy published was the bracket that involved Iowa and whoever they would play if they got to the Final Four. So it'll depend on Iowa's seeding, one or two. They'll be either one or two, I'm pretty sure. Depending on how the Ohio State game goes, um, and how the Big Ten tournament goes. Um, but it also will depend on luck. Who did they send to Iowa City? Okay. Because Iowa, as long as they're top four seed, they're gonna play in Iowa City again and host two games. So who did they send to Iowa City to against Iowa? It will be the key. Get them get them to the second weekend so that the Sweet 16. And then it depends on who they run into there and who they run into the Elite Eight. It's gonna take some good matchups. It's gonna take some m- teams that they're matched up well with, and it's gonna take luck, a little bit of luck. We had a little bit of luck last year in that run. So I mean, and so and the one thing Iowa, some of these teams have really taller post players, and we struggle against them. You notice that some of those games we struggled. We our guys, our post people get into foul trouble, and we basically just have to go to an all guard offense with smaller people. Um, and so Hannah and O'Grady are going to have to take these stronger post players and just try to push them away from the basket, get them a little further out, and hopefully they can do that. Okay, this is going to be a short podcast. I pretty much done. I just wanted to do that. I'm still working on the softball and the baseball, which I don't know. Tomorrow's Thursday. There's a lot going on, and then we got Friday. Um, the 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 wrestling match on Friday. So and of course it's Super Bowl weekend, and I know that the Iowa women play. I'm so mad at 9 a.m. my time or 10 a.m. my time in California. I'm being church. Please don't do that again. That's the second time they've done that to me. And I don't remember when the men play, but I want to try to sneak a podcast in maybe Monday, the day after the Super Bowl. And we'll talk about softball and baseball for those softball and baseball lovers. I do want to do that. We featured them a lot last year, but we had Jason's help, who was very knowledgeable in both of those sports. He loves those sports, and he got to watch all of them because early in the season I didn't get to watch a lot of their games because they were all on ESPN Plus, and so the only games I got to watch were if they were on a major network, and BTN doesn't do anything that's away from home. I don't know if you guys noticed that BTN won't televise any Big Ten team away from home, and so they have to be home. So they won't be home for a while. They're going on the road starting this next week, and will stay on the road through rest of February and probably first part of March. Okay, um, I'm out, guys. Thank you again. Um, please subscribe. Please subscribe. Please like. If you haven't already liked, please like. You can comment. You can't comment until you subscribe. Okay, they won't let you. Um, but there's nothing. I mean, subscribing is nothing. All you got to do is just sign up for a YouTube account. That's it. You don't have to do anything with it. It actually remembers when you come into YouTube. And when you sign up for it, it remembers some of the places you have been, and will give you similar stuff to it. And plus, if you put that you want notifications when you sign into YouTube, it'll have everything there right in front of you that that you subscribe to so you don't have to go looking for it. Okay, guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate your guys taking the time to watch, and go Hawks. And let's looking forward to the spring practices, and I'll be anxious to see who the quarterbacks are that are taking all these snaps. Bye, guys. I'm out.